Melissa, you got my
Yes, Wade.
slides now. You got my slides now. Oh, let me get this other data.
Thank you.
Yes, no. Thank
All
you.
right, 2:00. I'm gonna let people in.
Okay, go.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce's Board of Directors, welcome to the fourth event in our series focused on contracting opportunities with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. This event is titled Connecting the GovCon Community with HHS Opportunities. My name is Mauricio Vera. I'm the Assistant National Director of the Veteran Institute for Procurement, and it's my honor to lead this effort this afternoon. This event series is co-hosted with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and is brought to you by the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the Chamber's GovConNet Council and the Veteran Institute for Procurement. I would first like to thank and introduce our sponsor for today's session. A big thank you to Immersive Concepts for your generous support of this event. And it is now my honor to introduce to you Mr. Ruben Sloan, who is the president of Immersive Concepts, and he's going to give a few brief remarks. Welcome, Ruben.
Thank you, Mauricio. Thanks for the introduction, and definitely want to thank the Chamber as well as all HHS representatives today. We really want to, just extend our gratitude to the Chamber. We've been a proud member for, oh my gosh, probably about 12 years since we've been in business with the Chamber. So thanks for the opportunity to support. Always happy to help to support any other small business as well. Just a quick glance at Immersive Concepts. We've been in business for, like I mentioned before, about 12 years successfully, around about 140 employees with a top secret facility clearance. We also have ISO 9000, 9001, 27001, and pending CMMI level 3 currently. We're a proud representative of the SBA 8A program, which we will be graduates at the end of this year. So successful graduations, and kudos to Immersive Concepts. We're also on other vehicles as well, such as our GAC schedule with about 12 cents there, as well as 80 Stars 3 and a few other larger IDIQs with other federal agencies. So HHS has been one of our customers for years. Matter of fact, Wayne Berry as well as Darryl, who will be on the line, you guys will meet at some point, was able to give us our very first contract. That was an 8A contract direct award 12 years ago. We've been with him ever since. So sorry, Wayne, I didn't mean to put you over there, but he's definitely been a great champion of small business. So we're currently supporting HRSA, NIH, CSR, ASPR, as well as FDA, and a host of other agencies. So nice to meet everyone. Look forward to meeting you in the breakout sessions, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mauricio.
All right, thank you, Ruben, and congratulations on all that success. It sounds like a wonderful, an outstanding company, and we're so grateful that you were able to sponsor this event, and the fact that Wayne and Darryl have been an important part of your journey of your business. So congrats on that. So moving forward, if you're new to the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce, one of the greatest distinctions between our chamber and others across the country is our role in the federal government contracting space. We advocate on the Hill for small business federal contractors like yourselves, and our resume includes getting the Small Business Runway Extension Act signed into law a few years ago. That act extended the runway for lots of businesses that made them they were able to take advantage of their small business size status for an additional few years. So very important. At MCCC, at the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce, our mission is to accelerate your success. We do so by providing impactful programming such as this event series with HHS. Members of our professional staff are attending today, and are available to answer any questions that you may have about our organization. This event series was developed to connect the GovCon community with federal agencies, build relationships with other business leaders, and learn about upcoming procurement opportunities. In the current climate, we have fewer opportunities to network with colleagues in the GovCon space, and we think it's important to connect with key stakeholders. Over the past few months, we have hosted virtual and in-person events that will help you to continue to dive deeper into contracting with HHS, ensuring that you have the information and support necessary to help accelerate your success. For example, our third event in this series was held in person on April 18th in Rockville. This event sold out quickly. The event featured guest speakers from HHS, GSA, and the National Library of Medicine at the NIH, as well as one-on-one open sessions with prime HHS contractors. We will provide you with the presentation materials from today, and we'll also include a link to today's presentation video. Your feedback, ideas, and participation are invaluable to us. We encourage you to utilize the Zoom chat box to share your thoughts, insights, and ideas throughout the session today. We now have the honor of hearing from two officials from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. First, we're going to hear from Mr. Darryl Smith, who is a procurement officer at Indian Health Services. Let me tell you a little bit about Darryl. He spent 13 years as an acquisition professional with 3 years at Indian Health Services and is responsible for purchasing supplies and services. We're also going to hear, before I turn it over to Darryl, I'm also going to introduce our speaker after Darryl, and that's everyone knows Mr. Wayne Berry. Great to see you, Wayne. Wayne is a small business specialist with the Health and Human Services Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Is currently assigned to the Health Resource Services Administration. Wayne's career in civil service began in Cleveland, Ohio at the Lewis Stokes Cleveland Department of Veterans Affairs Medical Center, where he served in contracting. He was later recruited to DC as a program analyst in the Department of Veterans Affairs, OSDBU. Mr. Berry accepted a position with HHS OSDBU in April 2011. Before I turn it over to Darryl and Wayne, we ask that you please stay muted during their presentations. Once we announce our transition to the networking portion of the event, you can then unmute. And now I will turn it over to our HHS partners. Mr. Darryl Smith, please take it away.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Darryl Smith. I'm with the Indian Health Service. I'll give you a little background information about IHS, do a little myth busting about IHS, Indian Health Service. A lot of contractors feel as though we only make awards to Native-owned businesses. We do make an effort to give priority to Native American businesses, but we have a lot of opportunities that are full and open and are unrestricted. So I just want to start by saying that. So Indian Health Service, what is Indian Health Service? Indian Health Service, we provide comprehensive primary health care and disease prevention to approximately 2.7 American Indians and Alaska Natives and 574 federally recognized tribes throughout a network of 605 hospitals, clinics, health stations, reservations, etc. 6 tribes in Virginia recently gained their recognition in 2018. So there are some areas that are becoming more recognized as Native American groups or categories. The IHS staff consists of about 15,000 employees nationwide, including health care providers like doctors, dentists, pharmacists, etc. We have 12 area offices across the country. I don't know if we can start with the slides. Are we able to pull up the slides? Yes, thank you. We can go to the second slide, please. Yes. Okay. Okay. So again, we have 12 area offices throughout the United States, as you can see on the illustration here. Our headquarters is located here in Rockville, Maryland, which is where I work out of, the headquarters. So next slide, please. So our annual contract obligation by fiscal year, as you can see, let me start by saying this fiscal year was the first time in our agency histories where we have advanced appropriations. So we're fully funded. We're the only agency that's fully funded. So whenever you hear about government shutdowns, we're the only one that wouldn't be applicable for, because we have advanced funding of over $500 billion. As you could see, like every year there's been progression on the amount of funding, and this is the acquisition contract dollar amount. So this is how much we've spent in acquisitions, which is in fiscal year 23 we spent about $1.4 billion in acquisitions. Next slide, please. So what do we buy? What is the 1.4 billion? Primarily medical, surgical supplies, dental equipment, pharmaceutical, drugs, intervention, and intravenous solutions, computer hardware, software, IT. Most of the things that we buy support Indian Health Services. So the clinics, the hospitals, the doctors' offices. So as you can see from the list of the things that we buy, it all supports the Indian Health Services. So and you could kind of read through that and see some of the other items that we purchase as well. So we do construction too, management consulting, maintenance and repair, training, and TA. Next slide, please. So what do we do to support events like this? I mean, we want to get the message out to small businesses that we rely on you guys. I mean, we depend on you guys to be able to fulfill and meet these supplies and services. And without industry, I mean, we can't. As I pointed out earlier, 1.4 billion is spent for supplies and services and acquisitions, and we've attained our small business goals. I think it was I believe it was like 25% small business goal, and we achieved that. So we issued a lot of awards to small businesses, and we plan on continuing to issue contracts to small businesses. Next slide, please. So how can you find out about IHS Opportunities? I'm sure that's one of the things that may be coming to your mind now. Sign up, in sam.gov. That's one of the main vehicles that we use for acquisitions. I mean, we have GWACs, but sam.gov, we have a lot of requirements that are right now posted on sam.gov. I think we have over 100, if I'm not mistaken, right now. If you go on sam.gov and put Indian Health Service, you'll find that we have from all variety of supply services that are needed throughout the United States. Attend industry days, like the event that's occurring right now, and you can request a meeting with IHS contract. Well, at those dates, you could request meetings with IHS contracting and program staff. Like, for instance, I'm here today to be able to answer questions and be able to present and share with you what we do and how you can provide services for the Indian Health Service. Next slide, please. So our contracts office, Chantel Smith is our division acquisition policy head of contracting activity. Jeffrey Johnson is the deputy director. I'm a contracting officer. Jonathan Ferguson is our small business specialist, and the website there is for our acquisition policy division website, which you can get more information about acquisitions and how you would go about getting a doing business or you're having a contract with the Indian Health Service. Next slide, please. So these are some notices that we had. Actually, this is like a month old, so these may not be, I didn't update it. My apologies for that, but I believe that several of these are still active. We will have a blanket purchase agreement for dental supplies. That's at our Navajo area. So if you're a provider of dental supplies, or if you have that type of business, the next scope for that, or you're up and operating in the capacity to be able to provide dental supplies, that would be something that you'd want to pursue. Nurse practitioner services, that's in our Portland area. Preventive maintenance service, this is elevator service. I just picked randomly stuff. I wanted to kind of like get all over the place just so you could see the spectrum of what we, like it can, if I put all the categories, it just almost anything that supports a service facility, whether it's staffing, lawn and garden at a facility, plumbing, IT, etc. We cover all. I mean, we have needs, requirements that come up all the time for almost any type of supply and service, even marketing. Like I was a CO4 requirement for it was called e-cigarette campaign, where we wanted to get like a mass marketing message out to some of the Indian Native American communities to discourage the use of nicotine and smoking. So we hired a small business, a marketing company, to help launch that campaign, where they did website, they did flyers, to be able to promote that message, banners, etc. So just to give you an idea, like, regardless of the type of business that you provide, there probably will be, if they're not currently, a need for the type of services that your company provides. So there's electrical safety review, training, and reporting. That's at 6 different facilities. That's our Division of Engineering Services in Seattle. They're based in Seattle, but those locations are various locations. So there's a wireless network requirement right now that's in our Navajo region. That's in Arizona. Our Navajo region primarily is Navajo, Arizona, some parts of New Mexico as well, is covered by the Navajo region. It's one of our largest, by the way. Next slide, please. I think that's it. So if you have any questions, maybe you could put it in the chat. I'm not sure the format of how we're going to take questions that you may have.
And
Yeah, so Darryl, we're gonna have Wayne do his presentation, and then we're gonna open it up for questions
Okay.
in the chat
Okay.
box. So ask
Okay.
everyone to put the question in the chat box. So thank you for that, Darryl.
Okay.
Great information. Thanks for sharing the opportunities. And Wayne, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, I gotta tell you, I gotta point out I have some issues with Darryl Smith's presentation. I gotta be open and honest with you. Darryl didn't sell himself right. I have known Darryl Smith for 13 years. I guess I was at HHS before he arrived. I have known Darryl his entire contracting career, and because we worked together at we worked together at HRSA, and I have watched Darryl rise up through the ranks, contract specialist, janitor, whatever they needed him to do, and now he moved over to Indian Health Services. I got to tell you, without talking too much about how the tea is being made or how the sausage is being made, Darryl is doing an amazing amount of work. He is managing 2 offices, one in DC and one out west. He is doing a phenomenal amount of effort, and he's managing several teams at one time. He's working above his pay grade, but he still found time to come and participate in this. when I asked him, I said, hey, this is what we got going on. If you can come and speak to people, if you got opportunities that you can speak to, regardless of what all the things that Darryl Smith had going on, he said, yes, I'm willing to support small business. I will come on and talk about what I can and share what I know. And I say all of this to you right now because anyone who thinks that this is the Indian Health Services just needs this to check a box to say they tried, but they really are going to give all that money to Indian owned or tribal owned or entity owned. No, when you see the announcement out on the street from Indian Health Services, they are really looking for anyone that can help them. Yes, they have preference for tribal and native owned, but if it's out on the street, it's fair game. And the fact that Darryl came on today to talk to you about that, it's kind of displacing some kind of notion that's out there that it's all only Indian Health Services. No, it's a lot of money. Darryl was a little cocky when he said, oh, we got our own money, we got our own authority, but I'm gonna let that go because HRSA can't help the fact that we don't have money, a lot of the agencies, but if Indian Health Services has the money, they have the need. Please pay attention to them if you offer goods and services that they have to buy. Also, I want to tell you, Indian Health Services is only one of 3 operating divisions within HHS that made all of their small business goals. And that's a testimonial to Darryl and his staff. That's definitely a testimonial to Jonathan Ferguson, who serves as the small business specialist assigned to that office. With that, having said all of that, we'll now do my part. Sorry if I'm coming in and out. I don't know. I'm gonna work on my lighting. We're gonna do better. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on across HHS. If you have the slides up, thank you, Miss Childress. So we're gonna talk about what we got going on, but I got a couple of goodies for you if you're here on this call that I think might be worth your while. So HHS agency-wide, this if you know me in these conversations, like my grandmother used to say, biggest room in the world is room for improvement. So we are challenged as far as meeting our small business goals overall. We're kind of moving in the opposite direction in several spaces. I know we have 3 offices that made all their small business goals: Indian Health Services, HRSA, and if I'm not mistaken, Center for Medicaid Services. I don't know if we're going to be able to repeat. We need you. We need you as a small business owner to pay attention to those announcements, those solicitations. Please respond so we can get this going in the right direction. So new business, small business information, success stories. NIH is going to have a solicitation that's going to be set aside for small business, 8A specifically. It's going to be for research and work in Mali, the country in Africa. Please pay attention. Keep on the lookout for that. I can't tell you when it's coming out. I know I signed off on the 653 recently, so it should be out on the street very soon. The Health Resource Services Administration, OPTN. I nearly said OBGY, I'm sorry, but OPTN is for organ transplants network. That's a little complex, right? Because if you were to look up OPTN, it would be an award for several millions of dollars, several hundred millions of dollars. This is for a network of organ donors across the country to pick up and deliver donated organs. And this is a fee for service. So the government actually pays less than $10 million in awards to the contractor, and all the other money that they list in the contract award data, That's all fees and services charged to the end users. So I want to explain this to you because a lot of people look at that award information and they think they're going after hundreds of millions of dollars, when really it's most of that, the vast majority, like 90% of that money is earned. Only like a small portion of that amount of money is actually awarded by the government and is part of the original contract. What's also important to note about OPTN is there was one vendor who managed that contract by law for 40 years. And this is the first time the federal government is trying to stand that up independent of that vendor. And there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of people who don't know what they don't know who's running this. So I would, there's going to be a small business subcontracting element that we're going to pay close attention to. But there's a few large businesses, really only a few people or vendors, entities across the country who can deal with what they're talking about doing. I understand you want to get work. I would be careful about considering going after that. We're going to talk about something else. The National Practitioners Database is with HRSA, and there was the National Practitioners Database. If you're a doctor or a healthcare practitioner, you had some kind of issue and you had to settle a malpractice suit, then there's a database of vendors, of practitioners who've settled those kind of cases. And somebody asked a question, sorry. So and that database travels wherever you go with the United States. So HRSA maintains that database. Recently they're trying to figure out how much of that work they can break apart and set aside for a small business. The incumbent for NPDB is GDIT. I think that's General Dynamics Information Technology. And there are two portions of that work that's been broken off for small business set aside. We've been tracking these for close to a year now, and I can tell you that both of those items, one was a call center and one was a help desk, like a disputes help desk. Both of those are going to be set aside for 8 days. So very happy to say that we're taking work from the large business and we're getting it to small businesses wherever we can. Those awards, that announcement information is going to come out. Do we have a timeline? Okay. Do we have a timeline on the call center? If I'm not mistaken, I just got the small business review request where they told me who they want to source that award to. I know there were a few people who were on this call who were involved in the process and got to the interview, and it looks like they've settled upon one or two people, the person who they know they want to do. We could talk about that later. I know. The people who are involved in this process are asking who, what, when, and why. We'll get back to that. So for the people in general on this conversation, there's one more thing I want to share with you. And I just found this out, and I just sent it to Melissa Childress as an email. There's an upcoming opportunity that will be out on the street for a small business. It's from HRSA, Health Resources Services Administration. We have a facility in Louisiana, and we are looking for microbiologists, research support services. It's, if I'm not mistaken, we need at least 2 people, one microbiologist with a BS, and possibly a microbiologist with a PhD to understand the infection caused by, I'm gonna try this. Mycobacterium bacterium leprae, M. leprae. So it's for the study of the Hansen's disease program. And that is going to be out on GSA schedule, if I'm not mistaken, and it is going to be set aside for small business. The original work was full and open. It is now going to be set aside for small business. It's on GSA schedule, or will be posted on GSA schedule. Miss Childress, who is managing this event, I sent an email to her, giving her the basics, the GSA schedule, that it'll be set aside, and the anticipation, the expected date to solicit this will be Friday, June 14th. So a little bit more than almost 3 weeks from now. And you're going to see that email. I hope that helps you with that. Go get it. Go get it. So let's talk about the tea. The little scoops that I have going on within the industry across Osnabu. We got some new folks. Michael Balskar, formerly the Procurement Center representative for the Small Business Administration. He's joining HHS Small Business Office. He's joining Christine Haber, Latanya Dent, Amy Elise, and Tanya Anderson on our new staff. Christine, Amy, and Cynthia, they all arrived within the last, I don't know, 6 months. Latanya has been with us for, I think, almost 2 years now. Joshua Blow is also joining us, is also with our staff. So we went from, if you've been watching the HHS OSPU for the last few years, 2.5 years ago, it was like 6 small business specialists. Now we're up to 10. And almost all of the specialists that we have, we got from SBA. So Procurement Center representative, subject matter experts in not just the small business program, but the best practice in the government program. We got some of the best people, some of the most knowledgeable people about the federal small business program you're going to find anywhere, all under one roof. So we got an amazing team in HHS Osnabu, and we are working to get the numbers to reflect the capabilities that the staff has. So when we talk about this, before I let you go, the last quadrant here we got is upcoming events, vendor engagement session. The next one-on-one session with your small business specialists will be June 11th. The registration opens up May 28th. You want to do it early, you want to get it in quickly. We go from 9 to 12 now on June 11th. So 15-minute conversations. It used to be all day. Now it's from 9 to 12. So that means that there are fewer opportunities. So those who get in quickest. If I can recommend anything to you, rather than trying to schedule a meeting with all of the small business specialists, I encourage you to kind of find out which offices do the buy that you're looking to, the service that you're looking to offer. Look into a specific requirement and know what requirements you're looking to match up with, and then select the specialist that you want to meet with based on that information, what optive they cover, and if that optive is a potential client for you. The next Montgomery County Chambers of Commerce event will be virtual. I think we're going to talk about that today too. It's going to be June 18th. And then finally, the most important thing for you all that I can share with you, HHS has a customer relationship tool. It's called the Small Business Customer Experience, SBCX. Web-based, everything small business related at HHS is in SBCX. Small business reviews, lists of information about your company information in our database. When we conduct market research, we go through that database of vendors who reached out to us to see if we can get them matched, if we can get them in the interviews and things like that. There are several people who are on this call today who have been part of the process that I try to do in introducing vendors to the program. And my first step, when I get a statement of work, when I get hey, we need you to find some small businesses. My first step is to go through SBCX to look up the database of vendors who are already who've already done, and let us know that they're interested in marketing to the government. SBCX is your first stop. We have several features that you may find helpful: the forecast of contract opportunities, a list of expiring contracts. It's like 17,000 line items of contracts expiring between now and 2026 so that you can get a jump ahead on things. And what we have, our newest feature is called the Teaming Partners Portal. So if you're trying to team, if you have an opportunity, we now have a portal in SBCX where you can look for people who are looking for you, or you can make a post where you're looking for people. We're just trying to do everything we can to build the small business ecosystem and to help people see each other and to work with each other so that we can continue to take this money away from large business and get it back to small businesses. I'm sorry, guys. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I know there was a lot of things I had for you in that. I hope you find it helpful. I see that there's several questions, but I'm gonna yield back to Mario, and then if we answer the question, let me know how we do it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Wayne. It's Mauricio, by the way, not Mario. That's okay. That's okay.
Oh my gosh.
I've only known you a couple of years, Wayne.
Only all my life.
That's right. Nah, thank you, Wayne. You always are full of really very useful information. So thank you for those updates, and always appreciate your commitment to helping out small businesses. You're definitely one of the best ones out there for sure.
Thank you, Mauricio. I appreciate the kind words. And sorry about messing up the name. I'm just
That's okay. No worries. No, so I want to thank you again, Wayne, and of course, Darryl, for sharing your insights. Now we're going to get to the questions. I know there's a number of them already in the chat, and I encourage everyone to, if you have additional questions, you can either put them in the chat or you can raise your hand and I will call on you. But let's just start out. I'm going to go back to the questions that were posed, I think, when Darryl finished. So first we have from Mr. David Woolman, we have, does IHS and HHS have open artificial intelligence opportunities?
Yeah, I'm at IHS, I'm not aware of any. You mean a requirement that provides that type of stuff? I'm assuming that I'm not aware of any. But what I would recommend is, like, go sam.gov and just put that in your parameters, like for when you're looking for opportunities for that for AI, then I would recommend you just put that in use that as a search criteria and see if there are any opportunities exist. I'm not aware of any, but we have so many requirements. I'm not, like, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it's a good likelihood it doesn't, because I'm pretty familiar with most of our requirements.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Darryl. Next was from Luzanne. When would the next industry day? I think, Wayne, you already answered that for either HHS or IHS. Wayne, you said it was June 11th, I believe.
right. I think Wayne has a response to what the question related to AI, Wayne, because you raised your hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
So thank you for
Thanks.
asking about so real quick about the AI question. There's a couple of places that you want to look into. HHS set up it's called ARPA-H. And it's kind of like DARPA. Think of DARPA for healthcare. So they're taking any kind of theories about that are healthcare related, any kind of studies, and you pitch a proposal and they accept those proposals and they let you try some things out. It's kind of like SBIR, right? Small Business Innovation Research. So AI may be part of that at ARPA-H, ARPA-H-H. There is also at NIH, there's also ALEO, ALEO, I'm sorry, Oleo, OLEO, good Lord, OLEO. And what they have is, they have a BPA that's established for type of IT uses for healthcare. So those, and Aleo, Darnice Wilkerson is the head of contracting at Aleo. So if you Googled NIH, OLAO, Oleo, Darnice Wilkerson as head of contracting will show up, and then she could talk to you. You can research in there about that. Long story short, or a long story shorter, there are a lot of IT and AI initiatives that are very similar that may fall into what your question is. But what you have to understand is HHS is 11 operating divisions, and they're all their own fiefdoms running their own agendas. So there's not one place where you can get everything AI related. Everyone's kind of working their own path based on what their program needs. And with that, I yield my time.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Okay, next we have from Joe Grabenstein. Hey, Joe, name from the past. What type of work is the 8A set aside in Mali? Can you tell us where to find additional info? Next to you, Wayne.
Okay, so the work in Mali is a research program, and it's been a little bit since I last saw it, but it's research. I know this because I saw the small business review request, and I actually talked to the program manager. We went back and forth because I got it. It's kind of they had a couple of 8A firms respond, and I asked, is there any issues? Do you have any problems, concerns with who you got? And they said, no, we're fine with it. So it's not going to be a sole source 8A. It's definitely going to be a competed 8A. I can't tell you anything else about that. I'm sorry.
Okay, sounds good. I think you already answered the question from Aja. Do we have a timeline on the call center up? You talked about that, right,
Right.
Wayne?
Right. The call center op is already going to be that's decided. That's going to be sole source. So
Okay, gotcha. A question from Jesse. Given HHS performance shortfall in the SDV OSB category, is there any consideration to do some SDV OSB set-asides?
no. So here, I know, listen. Everybody who knows me know this is what I do. My job is to give you the most accurate and up-to-date information that you may make an informed business decision. It ain't always what you want to hear, but I'm never going to give you something. I'm not going to ask you as a small business to spend your last dime or chase down something that's not worth it. I get a lot of people saying, well, hey, you guys are short on your hub zone. You guys are short on your woman-owned. What are you guys going to, are you going to do set-asides for that? Are you going to do sole sources based on that? I'm going to tell you, and I think Darryl can vouch for this. I can only advocate or fight as hard as the market research gives me. For example, I just got a small business review for a couple people to do a job, and the market research came back. There were 2 small businesses who are capable. That's a done deal. That's a small business set aside. If I got 15 firms that responded, most of them were small, but none of them were considered capable. Now we got to have a discussion, because I know that there's not that many small businesses who are going to respond, because you spend time and money into that, right? So if I know that there were smalls who responded, then we're going to evaluate that. We're going to have a discussion with program about how they came about that. If I get a small business review and it says that no small businesses responded, I'm going to sign that off. I'm going to sign that off, because the public had the opportunity to respond, tell us that they're there, that they're capable. If there's no one there, I have no one to fight for. I took you down that path. The question was about, given the numbers, what are we going to do for those categories that where we're lacking? Help me help you. If you're in these categories, respond to the notices so that I can advocate on your behalf and let me know, hey, I'm a woman-owned small business. I responded, I know a couple, then we can work to make that a small business set aside. In many of these federal agencies, they're making their small business goals because they're relying on 8As. And if you're an 8A and you happen to be a woman-owned and you happen to be a veteran, then we get to count all of those categories. That's typically what's going on. I would love to do more for each category, but I have to get enough responses. That's why I ask, please respond to the notices. Indian Health Services, they're coming on right now. They're talking to you. That's not just for credibility. They're not checking a box. He's legitimately coming out here because he's looking for any capable smokes. So I hope that answers your question. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I hope that gives you some extra.
Sounds like Darryl wants to add something.
Yeah,
please.
let me kind of chime in on that. Thanks, Wayne. So as Wayne mentioned, you want to respond to the sources sought, but it's very important that you follow the instructions on the sources sought, because there are different types. When contracted officers, when we put out the sources sought, they're different. Like a sources sought, you have to read what we're asking you to provide. So I have, like, personally, I have maybe, I don't know how many sources sought I have out. I have several out. And my requirements for each source is sought, like I'll ask you to provide maybe, like if I'm buying surgical supplies and I'm doing a source of sought for small businesses that can do it, I may ask for, give me 4 part numbers of the supplies that we are currently in search of. Provide me an example of your past performance or recent sales of these particular items. So very important, because what'll happen sometimes when we get responses, I'll just get a capability statement from a small business. Now it may be in the same field. Like I have a source of sought now in New York, on Long Island, for transportation services. It's a big dollar value contract, and it's a source of sought for small businesses. And I got capability statements from companies that are small that can provide transportation services, but I specifically asked for, like exemplify like your transportation capabilities as it relates to transporting people with special needs. So if I get a source of sought that just says I provide transportation services, I may say I have to deem it like not acceptable. So when I go to Wayne or my small business advisor, and I say, look, I don't have any qualified business, even though I got some responses, but I asked for them to demonstrate these areas, and even though they gave me a capability, they didn't demonstrate it. So I have to deem them as not capable. So it's very important. I mean, some sources are very vague. Just send me a capability statement saying you can do it, and that may be sufficient. I mean, depending on the type of purchase it is. So I've done some sources where it was very simple. Just send me a capability that you can, and then, okay, well, Wayne, I got 5 small businesses that can do it. Check, check, check. Others are complicated, but very important to read what they're asking you to provide or what they're asking you to demonstrate. So just, read the details on that stuff. Don't just, I highly recommend when you see a source of sought, don't just say, oh, click, send your capability statement. I mean, you could do that, but you need to, in addition, make sure you're giving them everything that they ask, because it won't be considered capable if you don't meet the benchmark of what we're asking in the source of sought. Just want to point that out. It's very important because it happens a lot.
No, you know what? And Mauricio, if we got a second, I just want to say, I'm really glad Darryl is on and that you're sharing this with us, because what you all don't know in the small business community is that if this is the most common response I get from contracting and program as to why. You know, we might have a dozen vendors respond, and they might say, well, there's only one capable. They say, well, what happened? He said, well, they sent me their capability statement, but just like Darryl said, hey, I'm transporting handicapped people, and this capability statement doesn't address that. We move people. Okay, you know, I am stuck when he says we need handicap, we need to move people, and this statement doesn't say that. I can't go out on a limb and say, well, they might, or I don't know them either. So you got to understand when you're responding to these notices, ladies and gentlemen, you really want to be as detailed as possible. We got one shot at the apple as far as convincing program and contracting. Believe it or not, most of the people in contracting are really advocates for small business. But at the end of the day, they got to keep the best interests of the federal government in mind. And that program, whatever it is, it has to happen. It has to work. No one in contracting wants to be the guy or the person who said, well, it didn't work out because of contractual stuff. That's never going to be the issue. So please put your best foot forward. Please respond in total. Listen, if you don't have the capabilities on the government side, list your capability on the private sector side, but be as thorough as possible and become as detailed as possible. And with that information, and here's how it works. When you give that information, when I talk to program, I can say, well, hey, these guys seem to know what they're talking about. Well, they didn't talk about this. They didn't talk. Well, let's call them up, because they put enough time and effort here that we can, you know, it allows me to help push the agenda even more. But when it's just a general CAPE statement with nothing specific to the requirement, that's hard. That's a hard one, especially when they're complex requirements. So please keep that in mind. And thank you, Darryl, for adding to that. Oh,
Thank
And
you.
I just want to just say one quick thing. I promise I'll be brief.
Got a
You know,
lot of questions, guys.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, look, I was a contractor. I've been in the federal government 13 years. I'm not a career, like, I got on late in my career. I've been in the federal government. Before I was with the federal government, I was sitting where you guys are sitting. I was a contractor. That's what I did for years. A contractor, looking for contracting opportunity. I came across 13 years ago. You know, I was did good work, got an opportunity to get on with the federal government. But I know where believe me, it's a struggle. As a small business, I was there. I owned a business. It's a struggle. It's a constant. So that's why I'm here. That's why I set aside my time. I'm like, look, I got to talk to, if I can help somebody out, I'll help them out. So Mr. Sloan can attest to that. But anyway, next question.
Okay, no, that's all right. No, but this is real world. This is true. I mean, I was in government myself, and I know that, you know, if you're out there, you've got to respond to source of sought notices, because that's what helps the small business office to make the case for you, for it to be a set aside. So it have to respond to those. Okay, let's move on to the questions. From Louise from B360 is asking, are there any current or future administrative and general management services opportunities from HRSA for small businesses? Wayne?
say again, what's the question again?
Are there any current or future administrative and general management services opportunities from HRSA for small businesses?
Okay. Not right now that I know of. Not right now that I know of.
Okay. There's a couple of companies that have introduced themselves. Let me continue, see some questions. Do you know how many vendors will be there at the vendor engagement session? I'm not sure which session that is Stephanie is referring to.
The June 11th, the vendor that Wayne was speaking about.
Okay.
Well, June 11th, good question. So regarding the June 11th vendor engagement session, that's going to be virtual. So it's not going to be in person. It's just virtual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when is the registration date open for that one?
It opens on the 28th.
The 20th. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Question, do you have any opportunities for administrative assistance or HR support?
Not to my knowledge yet, right now.
Okay. Next from TT, any opportunities for facilities maintenance, janitorial, HVA, air duct cleaning?
So I can tell you, there's nothing to my knowledge, but what I encourage people to do is you need to research those specifics, because there's only, throughout all of HHS, there are only 3 offices that own their facilities that might need that duct cleaning. Indian Health Services, National Institutes of Health, and maybe Center for Disease Control. Those are the only places that really own facilities and may need that.
We have quite a few facilities at Indian Health all over the United States. But I would definitely take a look at sam.gov for Indian Health Service. I mean, there's always opportunities that come up. Now, I just want to mention the Buy Indian Act. I didn't really mention that earlier, but we're mandated to give Indian preference. So we are going to, when we solicit, when we have a requirement, we're generally going to like see if they're native-owned businesses that can perform it. But oftentimes they're not able to. The majority of our contracts are not. I think we hit like maybe 12%. I don't know the exact number that were awarded to native-owned business. So the vast majority are not native-owned businesses that are getting contracts with us. So just keep that in mind as well. So initially they will be set aside oftentimes, but if we find market research and we do our due diligence and we find that there aren't any native-owned businesses, then we unrestrict it to small businesses.
Okay, thank you, Darryl. I think the next question is for you as well, as how does IHS and the other HHS operating divisions advertise simplified acquisitions?
We don't advertise it like differently than requirements that are above the simplified acquisition threshold. Like I mean, they're micro purchases. I'm trying to figure out how I should answer that. It's really not a difference. I mean, if it's a requirement, it's above $25,000, and we're looking to make a contract. We're gonna advertise it generally, unless it's some urgent and compelling circumstances, or there's some name brand justification, or there's some sort of justification where we can't compete it. Which it doesn't happen often, but it does happen occasionally. But we don't differentiate. Like if it's the simplified, we're going to do it this way. If it's not, we're going to do it this way.
Wayne, I saw you smiling. Is there something that you want to add to that?
Darryl did pretty good. He's pretty good. I will say that our office, HHS OSDBU, is working on a electronic bid board where because if you remember, if any of you are old school business development people, you used to be able to just go onto the campus, go into a government building, and there would be like a hallway with award information or solicitations below 15,000 or something like that. And then with COVID, that went away. So we're trying to make that a digital process where all the announcements below the micro purchase threshold will be publicly noted. As far as awards below the SAT, below the 250,000, we don't have anything. To my knowledge, there is no separate process for awards below 250,000 and things like that. Although I will say this, and I know we're very short on time, I will say this. The thing, if you're a vendor, you want to be very careful about knowing what's the product and services you provide and how each customer buys it. The federal government is not a monolith, And the move now is to category management and GSA schedule. If the government is buying what you have to offer off of GSA schedule or category management, and you're not on those vehicles, you will never see an opportunity. You just won't. The government is now and is forcing contractor professionals. They're saying, listen, if you can buy it off of GSA, you will buy it off of GSA. If you can buy it off of category management, you will buy it off of category management. So if you as a vendor are not in those places, that it don't matter how they buy, it ain't coming, you won't see it. So you need to make, I tell you this so that you understand what vehicles you may want to apply for and get into before you market to the government, if that's how the government buys the product services they need. Listen, Mauricio, I'm sorry, man. I am terrible to manage in this event, so I'm gonna try to be quiet.
That's okay. No, it's all good. Listen, I think there's only one other question that has not been answered in the chat.
Okay.
And, it's from Bruce. Wayne, I'm interested in pursuing opportunities to provide regulatory and OMB financial compliance services to HHS for a recent 8A program. Recently in the 8A program, and any information will be appreciated. Anything with regulatory and OMB financial compliance services?
All right, Bruce. Let's get together and send me an email. Oh, you know what? Here's my email address, and we'll go from there.
Great.
Mauricio, David did have another question up above that. I don't know. if
It's already been
that was
answered.
answered.
It's
Okay,
already-
great. thank you.
Yeah, Wayne answered it in the chat.
We have Stephanie Nicole who raised her hand to ask a question.
Oh, yes, thank you for that. Stephanie, you had a question. Would you like to unmute, please, and go ahead and ask a question?
Sure, and this is for Wayne. He talked about the microbiologists that are going to be needed for the center in Louisiana. I believe you stated that the RFP is coming down on June 14th, Friday. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Is it looking specifically for, is it like staff augmentation? They're looking to hire people. What does that look like for those microbiologists?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you more, but I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna hire these guys and then try to poach them. I don't know if they just got them on a short-term project. I don't know, but I do know that this is a recompete. So this is something that's been around for a while and it's coming back again.
Oh, so I will be able to go online and find it and see if it was put out there previously, like it was canceled.
Hold on. I sent an email to Miss Childress, who is our host for this event, and I am sure she will share it with you. But
yes,
before
it'll go out after the event. Yeah.
Okay.
Melissa, yeah, you guys got to know, like, the Chamber of Commerce support crew is amazing. Don't let the product on the screen fool you. They are really good.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Sure thing.
great. Thank you for that, Stephanie. Another question I see, how often do you use STARS 3 for IT services?
Whenever, so you guys got to understand, whatever we need, we're going to get. Wherever we got to go to get it, if it's allowable, we're going to get it. So if STARS 3 has vendors that are capable of doing the job, we're going to get it through them. If I'm not mistaken, so they got me doing HRSA and AHRQ as small business offices, but I cover everything small business data related across HHS. There's nearly every vehicle that's open to every federal agency we use. And that's not going to change. That's going to increase if anything in the future. And for anybody who's curious about that microbiologist, I put that in the chat, the whole thing in the chat, so you don't have to wait for the email. But there we go.
Great, thanks, Wayne. This will be one last comment / question, and then we're going to move on to the breakout rooms. So Wayne, about the administrative and general management opportunities on SBCX, HHS forecast opportunities. There are so many opportunities. I've reached out to several contracting officers and program officers, but no response. Our company's really interested.
Hot dog. I was hoping to get the answer, say this one, but you know, but since it's a question now, I'm not just ranting, I'm answering a question. All right. So here's what I heard. I found all these opportunities. I reached out. I got no response. What's next? And what I encourage everyone to do, there's two ways that you approach. And if you get routed, if you reach out to the contracting officer or the program person and you get routed to the small business specialist, you done it wrong. I know. I say a lot of inflammatory things. I probably shouldn't be recorded, but here's what we're gonna do. Here's what let me tell you exactly what's the fail. Here's the fail. Hello, I'm Mauricio Vera. I'm awesome. My business is this. We're awesome. We do great things. We want to come in and give an overview of how awesome we are and solve your problems. That is a fail. That's going to get you, hey, I'm going to refer you to this small business specialist and they can walk you through. Why is that a fail? Because you're talking about everything but what that CO has on their desk right now. Contracting program, they're only responsible for what their focus is on what they have to deal with right there and there on the spot. You send an email out and you say, hey, Mauricio, we see your announcement for administrative services in Louisiana. We are going to respond. We want to be considered an interested party in that solicitation. Please let us know when the solicitation comes out or when the source of SALT or RFI comes out. And also, by the way, here's our capability statements, our experience in this, and we would love to have a conversation with you. If your program wants to have a conversation, we're open for that. That gets you a response because you're talking specifically about the requirement that's on their desk. Now, last thing, there are only, even with all those people that I said we have now on our small business staff, there's only 10 small business specialists. HHS has at least 1,100 contracting professionals across the enterprise. So that's like 1 to 110. We have no idea everything that's coming out. We have no idea about everything that's on the streets. Usually what we found out about stuff is either contracting, we got it, progressive contracting professionals, program professionals come to us and say, this is what we need help with, or the small business community saying, hey, we saw this announcement, we responded, we asked for feedback, we got nothing from contracting. That's when you send an email to me and I go back to contracting and say, hey, can you please respond to them? They asked about this requirement. Obviously, I don't know anything about the requirement. You're the person, you're the CO or you're the program people. Please respond. That's how we help you out, by making sure that the process is being followed. So if you're with Indian Health Services and you didn't get a response from Indian Health Services, Darryl, I hope you're all right. Jonathan Ferguson is a small business specialist, and the CO and the program, those are the people you want to reach out to. If it's something in AHRQ or SAMHSA, you forward me the email that you sent to the CO, and then I follow up on your behalf. That's the best way to use our office. And it's also how you keep our office in the loop for opportunities so that we can argue, so we can advocate on your behalf. All right. I hope that helps.
That's great information, Wayne. Appreciate that's great advice. I agree wholeheartly with that. But thank you both for being open and answering all the questions and sharing your insights. Now it's time for networking breakout rooms. So as we prepare to be sent into breakout rooms for everybody, and by the way, thanks everyone for all the great questions. We let it go a little bit longer just because there were some great questions there, and so we appreciate all of that. I think it was a really, really good discussion. So, but as far as the breakout rooms, I encourage everyone to take the opportunity to introduce yourself, connect with the fellow attendees, exchange ideas, and forge new connections. It's really through these, relationships that lasting partnerships are formed. Each breakout is going to last 10 minutes. Once 10 minutes is up, you're going to be brought back into the main room for a minute before being placed into a new breakout room. We probably only have time for 2 of those. And then you're going to network with a brand new group of people. So, we're going to go through 2 rounds of that. So we encourage you to start your breakout sessions by having each person provide a very brief introduction. So now it's time to connect. We're going to launch the first breakout room now. You're going to be put right into the room. Enjoy.